If you follow what's been happening with Richie Sambora in recent months, I think it's fair to ask this question. Is Richie Sambora okay?
The hair metal guru from Warren to Crew. The hair metal guru. Never forget Charlie too.
Welcome to the Hair Metal Guru. My name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. And yes, Patrick is here because, man, if you follow Richie Sambora on X or Twitter and what's been going on, I would say that I'm a little worried about the guy. So first of all, Patrick, welcome back to the show.
Always good to be here. I'm a diehard Richie Sambora fan. The guy has the golden voice. He's a maniac with the guitar. Has written some of the most amazing songs of our youth and our lifetime. But I'm going to agree with you. He's an entertaining follow on X, but lately it's a little concerning.
Well, I don't know about you, but the first time I was actually started wondering what was going on with him was when he did that Billy Corgan interview. And tell me if you agree, but you only have to watch a few minutes of that thing. And I thought that guy is loaded out of his mind.
Pretty cool, right?
We were junkyard. That's amazing. We were junkyard dogs, man. I think, we were young and they gave us 45 minutes to play. So it's like,
Yeah.
head down
Yeah.
and all you got.
Yeah.
No
45 minutes.
breathing necessary in the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like,
Ooh, she's a little runaway. To the Scorpions crowd, no, we got a lot of white kid from the swamp. My first concert was like Black Sabbath, man.
When he gets into that interview and Corgan is bestowing upon him, wow, I'm a huge fan, I'm this and that, and you're waiting for Richie to have his first response to anything, and he's just he couldn't even formulate sentences in the beginning of it. He got better as it went on, and maybe that's nerves, maybe that's Richie Sambora, but
Right.
he wasn't okay in that. I'll never be convinced that was normal Richie.
Well, I mean, and people who have followed the channel, I'm an alcoholic. I quit drinking in 2004. I ruined a lot of years of my life, being blackout drunk. And when I watched that, you could tell it was like he was trying to get the words out. And right. I mean, could it be I find it hard to believe that Richie Sambora, who has played in a million
Hundreds of
stadium
thousands
shows,
of people.
was nervous in an interview. But so having my history with drinking, I feel pretty confident saying that was an alcohol related issue. And maybe I'll see if I can add a couple clips in to show you what I'm talking about. But another thing that we both know, that when people are drinking, they do stupid shit online or they make dumb phone calls that you're going to, regret later on. So then we start seeing like these tweets. And I remember texting you, and I'll put the picture in there, where he's calling John Shanks, the guy who, is kind of taking his spot and does a lot of the songwriting with John, plays live, but calling John Shanks a cunt on Twitter.
He did.
And, I remember sending that to you and going, holy shit. Richie's having a normal one. So what have you noticed from the stuff that you've seen online?
I think it should be noted, because I'm sure people will be putting this in the comments of the video, is that Richie's mother recently passed.
Yep.
So obviously somebody who's, Richie's no spring chicken. I'm sure he's in his 60s at this point,
Right.
And he looks it. And I have to imagine that's a pretty traumatic thing for him.
Right.
And I know he's taking care of his mother, and I know he's got his daughter and all of these things. So I'm sure when you add all that up and you add, substance abuse and that's assuming that that's what's going on.
Right.
It's a lot easier to go online and say some things that are on your mind, especially when fans are feeding you questions. Right. I attribute a lot of what Richie's doing to what happens to Sebastian Bach when fans get him and they ask him, "What's up with Skid Row?" And then he gets himself in trouble by saying what he says. I think that's a little bit of what's happened here. But boy, calling John Shanks a cunt on Twitter, it's not probably going to get him in the good graces of John anytime soon.
Yeah, especially John Shanks.
I
And
see what you did there.
I'm glad you know his mom died January 11th, and this we didn't agree to talk about Richie Sambora like going, hey, let's shit on Richie Sambora.
Nope.
This is legitimately, we're massive fans, of Richie and at least old Bon Jovi. Um, and it's to express concern. And
Absolutely.
and like people who have tons of money and power and tons of fans, they constantly get fed that, hey, you're amazing and everything you do is great. And this is just maybe, I hope that there are people that are, you know, able to be honest with him and check in with him, because even if he thinks John Shanks is a cunt, and maybe he is, fuck, I don't know. I know that from what was happening on X or Twitter, is it was implied that Shanks is maybe using some of Richie's gear.
Yeah.
And a fan was pointing that out, like you can maybe see it in YouTube videos. And Richie calls him a cunt. Um, Even if Richie felt that way, I think he, I think it would be safe to say that if he was not drinking, he would probably not say that online because it makes him look bad. And how do we know that he probably regretted it? Because he deleted that tweet.
And he put out a whole apology, where he said, sometimes we say things and I wanted to feel better, and I talked to some fans and I said some things I probably shouldn't have said. And um, but I I think, that's just the tip of the iceberg of some of the things he was saying. He somebody had basically said to him, complaining about sales numbers and whatnot, that this was no different than, or the way he was acting was no different than if Ringo Starr was to say that John Lennon held him back. To which Richie said, and I quote, uh, Ringo can play, and then there's the plastic throat, which is a pretty hardcore thing to say about John with his voice problems.
He was kind of making the comparison that he's Ringo and John Bon Jovi is John Lennon, and saying that he's the talent, and John's, and people who have heard John sing in recent years would probably, maybe not
Right.
disagree. But for him to come out and say that again online, um, that's I mean, that's pretty harsh for people who are like hoping that those two can fix what has happened and reconvene the band together. um Saying things like that is probably not gonna help
Would do it.
your cause.
That and accusing John and Mercury of sabotaging his solo albums to get him back in the band, which
Yep.
you could probably make the argument that they probably did back in '91 on Stranger in This Town to get him back into the band to do Keep the Faith.
Here,
But
I'm gonna read that tweet. Yeah, somebody talks about how awesome, and he does a lot of interacting with fans, which is
which
cool.
is
But he
awesome.
says, people still have no idea. I sing and write. I sing, write lyrics, produce records. I decided to let the music talk. Not such a bright idea. Most Bon Jovi fans didn't give my voice a chance. It reflects in sales. I've accepted it. Of course, John and corporate killed my records to get me back to the mothership. And I have no doubt that that shit probably happened. Do you think the record label was going, fuck, I hope this Richie Sambora,
Yeah.
Stranger in This Town solo album, blows up.
Especially considering how bluesy it was and non-commercial. Yeah.
Right. They were, maybe not wanting it, but not wanting it to seed to such a level that he wouldn't want to go back to Bon Jovi. I think that probably happens in many cases. You don't think you think Motley Crue's record label wanted Vince's solo career to take off? Fuck no. Even Robbie Crane in the interview I did said, that they were always like, "Hey, she get back together with Motley Crue."
Hmm.
So I have no doubt that that's probably true, and I think that Richie feels, and you can say, "Hey, he has the right to go out and say whatever he wants." Obviously, he does. We're not arguing that he doesn't. I am arguing. I think we are arguing that some of these tweets, uh, especially the cunt one, make don't make him look good. And like I used to, shit, when I was boozing, I used to write myself a note. I would leave it by my computer and by my phone. Do not call anyone when you get home. Because it was like, you're gonna say something fucking stupid, and stay away from it. And I just feel like Richie, and maybe, with his mom dying, and the proof that we saw on the Corgan interview is probably in not very good shape right now.
Richie also alluded later on that this world tour that Bon Jovi's going to do, that he was supposed to be a part of it, and that there were some agreements that were being talked about, but then everything went silent and the tour got announced. So this almost seems like between these two that there's a lot of we know we should be together, but it just there's not enough interest from John right now. Maybe
Right.
John feels like he's capable of moving this forward without Richie. Maybe it'll be better without Richie. I mean, you look at Bon Jovi right now, and they have like 10 people on stage
Yeah.
to emulate the sound
Yeah.
that five guys did.
Yeah.
So if they need all of that to make this happen, and John's not really in a place where he wants this to happen, it's not going to happen. And I imagine from Richie's perspective, it just what is the one partner in a relationship where it's not working and they want it more do when it's not working? They blow it out.
Yep.
And it kind of feels like that's what's happening here.
And I mean, the only thing that really causes any change is usually some sort of pain.
Yeah,
Well, fucking Bon Jovi put up some dates at Madison Square Garden, and they all sold out.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many. It's multiple
And they're
dates.
expensive.
Right. You wouldn't catch me going to that shit now. Uh, but the fact of the matter is, not having Richie Sambora in the band is not hurting their commercial viability. And after you hear some of the shit that Richie has said, I'm sure John's like, well, fuck you. I don't need you.
Yeah. I've done just fine without you. So I feel that way, but man, if I were Richie, I would just keep my mouth shut and I might get together a band and try and write some of the greatest songs that I've ever written. And I have no doubt that Richie's capable. We did a video maybe 2 months ago where we put up Red, White, and Jersey against
Yep.
Richie's Born to Rock.
Born to Rock.
And holy cow, what Richie's writing right now is pure gold. And you
Right.
know that there's a lot of it where he's got it. So
Right.
I hope he puts together a band and writes a really kick-ass album of what could be Bon Jovi anthems, you know?
And I think for fans like us and probably millions out there who would like to see those two ride off into the sunset together. Well, number one, if there are any substance issues, I hope Richie deals with that. And if I'm wrong, I fully apologize, but just knowing what I know, I feel like that's going on. So I hope he gets that taken care of, and I would lay off the negative comments
Mhm.
about John and those two together, and try to patch both of those guys. Try to patch that up, one-to-one phone calls, Zoom, whatever you can do, because I would like to see them, and then I would like to see fucking everything. I'd like to see them get back together and write a real rock album
Oh
and all
yeah,
that stuff. But I hope that you see something before the end with John and Richie together. I think that's what feels right for the ending of Bon Jovi whenever that happens.
agreed, 100%. I think that would be the perfect way to end it, and I still hold out hope that that could happen someday. I mean, these guys have been through everything together, and they wouldn't have what they have today if it wasn't for each other. They don't owe us anything, they really don't. But boy, to make it come full circle one last time would be pretty awesome.
And I'll just not that Richie will see this, but I'm a mama's boy, and I've been sober for 21 years. I've honestly thought when my mom's times comes, if there was anything that could convince, not that it would, but anything that would set me off on a bad path, it would be that. So Richie, we genuinely are doing this video, wishing the best for you, hoping that whatever you're facing, whether it's substance issues or just dealing with your mom, man, we are rooting for you. And whether
Absolutely.
it's with Bon Jovi or outside of Bon Jovi, we just want you to go back and be living your best rock and roll life. We really are.
Absolutely.
So, hey, let us know in the comments. Have you been following what's going on with Richie? What do you think is happening? And do you think there's any chance of a reconciliation for John and Richie and Bon Jovi? We would like to know. And hey, like, subscribe. What the hell? Ring the bell and whatever you can do to support the channel. Truly, we appreciate you being here. Until the next video comes up, my name is Anthony. They call me the Guru. Take care of yourselves.